3 o'clock here on this Monday afternoon, we begin with the 5 News weather impact alert. There's been a lot of changes to the forecast and what we expect over the next 48 to 72 hours. Let's get you set up with the latest weather briefing. A winter storm warning now in effect for northwest Arkansas. That's going to be here in pink. Meanwhile, the River Valley now included in a winter weather advisory. Johnson County, the exception in the River Valley. Weather Service out of Little Rock going ahead and placing Johnson under this winter storm warning as well. This map probably not done. I think there's going to be some changes. Namely, I would expect the River Valley probably gets upgraded to a warning. That's going to be done by the National Weather Service out of Tulsa. I have updated our snowfall projections. I now believe 8 to 10 inches is going to be likely across a good majority of Benton and Carroll counties. Now, I think 8 to 10 is going to be most common, and that's going to be mostly snow. But I got to tell you, I put this little plus sign here. It's very possible that we could get a band of heavier snow to result in some totals in excess of 10 inches. Is that going to be common at this point? I don't think so, but I think somebody out there probably exceeds that 10-inch mark. The best odds of doing so are likely going to be parts of the northern half of Benton and a good majority of Carroll County. Now in Washington and Madison, I've upped us to 4 to 8 inches of mostly snow. It may start out as a little bit of sleet before transitioning over to snow. I'll show you the latest on that here in a moment. Let's work our way down I-49. We get south of the Bobby Hopper Tunnel, and I think now we're looking at 2 to 4 inches of a sleet snow mix, likely anywhere between Sallisaw, extending further east towards Clarksville, right along this Interstate 40 corridor. There has been some level of uncertainty with regards to the River Valley forecast, mainly because we weren't sure how far south that cold air was going to get and how deep the cold air was going to be, and that's going to play a big role in dictating whether or not we see snow, sleet, freezing rain, or anything else. And with that cold air coming in a little bit further towards the south, the overall storm system moving a little bit further towards the south, we have a little bit more confidence that, number one, we're going to see a little bit more in the way of accumulation, and maybe eventually we can transition that over to mostly snow a little bit earlier. I still think it's predominantly a sleet event with a little bit of snow on the tail end in the River Valley. We get to the Washitas, and I'm talking places in southern LaFleur, all of Scott County, southern Logan, and probably anywhere south of Hackett in Sebastian County. Now I've bumped you up to a trace to 2 inches of rain, 2 inches of a sleet snow mix. A little bit of freezing rain can't be ruled out, especially the further south we get, upwards of about 1/4 of an inch. That can certainly cause some slick spots out there. Thankfully, we look to avoid widespread power outages with totals like that. Can't rule it out entirely, but I think we're trending on the lower end of the power outage risk. Let's talk about the latest time. This has changed a little bit. 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, precipitation moving into eastern Oklahoma. We very well could have some scattered activity already occurring in the River Valley. We go to 7 o'clock and things are moving in quick, right? In northwest Arkansas, where temperatures are likely going to be a few degrees below freezing, we expect road impacts to begin pretty quickly at the onset of that precipitation. Meanwhile, here in the River Valley, we're at or right around that freezing mark, with ground temperatures or road temperatures hovering probably a degree or two warmer. So while we may have some frozen precip starting to mix in relatively early in the day, it looks like the road impact's probably going to happen a little bit later once we can get those temperatures to drop a little bit more. Now, let's pause this here. 10:30 tomorrow morning, a widespread area of snow in Benton, Carroll counties. We've got that weird transition line that's slowly but surely going to be shifting off towards the south as we can push some of that colder air into the region. But that transition line is going to demark the difference between snow predominantly, and then a mix of sleet and snow. This pink here is probably going to be your sleet, more than likely. And you can see we expect a mostly sleet event, especially the first half of the day. But the further we get out into time, you notice that line inching a little bit further towards the south as things begin to transition over. Notice these temperatures, 2:30 tomorrow afternoon, we're in the low 20s. So we've got a snow, and it's probably going to start to be a little bit more of a dry snow, especially as those temperatures begin to fall. Look at the River Valley. We're hugging that 32-degree line really closely. We're waffling within a couple of degrees. Now, I think the sleet at this point is going to be coming down heavy enough that we're probably dealing with some impacts on the roadways by 2:30 tomorrow afternoon, certainly more than likely earlier in the day than that. By 7:30 tomorrow evening, and this is one of the changes that we've noticed, and this is why I've upped our snowfall projections, that transition line is pushing a little bit further south than what the models indicated last night. And I'll tell you, even if you don't like snow, even if you're not really excited about this event, I know a lot of folks are, and I got to tell you, I'm one of them. This is better news. We would much rather have snow than freezing rain. Snow's not going to result in a lot of power outages. Freezing rain can cause a lot of other issues out there. So the fact that this cold air is coming in a little bit stronger, making its way a little bit further towards the south, is actually good news for us, despite the fact that it is increasing our totals as it does. Now, this is 7:30 tomorrow evening. You still got sleet in parts of LaFleur, Southern Scott, Logan, and Sebastian counties, but that line is finally pushing off towards the south. By 9 o'clock tomorrow night, we're on the backside of this event. Mostly snow for everybody. River Valley temperatures finally in the 20s. We're down into the low teens in northwest Arkansas. And then we're going to hang on to these lighter snow showers through 10:30 tomorrow evening. And it's probably not until midnight that a lot of us are starting to wrap things up. This is going to be a little after midnight tomorrow. You still got some snow showers. Generally, though, it's lighter. And I think by 3 o'clock Wednesday morning, the issue becomes roadways and the issue becomes temperatures. We're probably not going to be accumulating much any more than that. Now, let's talk about impacts. We're in the high category for travel. We're in the high category of closures. They're already coming in. Extreme cold, that's the second round that we've not even talked about yet. This is a 1-2 punch. It's not just the precipitation, it's the incredibly cold temperatures that follow this system. Power outages remain in the low category. As I said a second ago, I can't ever entirely rule it out, right? It is certainly possible, but I don't think we're going to see widespread issues. If we are, it is going to be in the southern portions of the River Valley where there is expected to be a little thin layer of glaze. Overall, I'm not too concerned with that. Let's take a look a little bit more detail into that Tuesday timeline travel. I'm getting a lot of questions about, can I make it to this doctor's appointment? Or I've got a flight that leaves. Can I make it to the flight? Should I reschedule my allergy appointment? This should answer some of those questions. First part of the day, I think we've got somewhat low impacts, although if anything, we may have to bump some of this back. I certainly think by the mid part of the morning, we're dealing with issues, especially across northwest Arkansas. By lunchtime, I think everyone's dealing with issues, and I wouldn't expect those road impacts to get any better even going into Wednesday. And part of the reason why, it's these incredibly low temperatures. Mother Nature is not going to help those road crews out. Now, they're really good at their jobs and they've been really efficient in the last couple of events, but we're talking temperatures that their salt brine and the mixtures they're putting on the roads just aren't effective at. That's how cold it's expected to get. Interestingly enough, it's not just the cold temperatures and it's not just the slick spots that are going to make for some bad travel tomorrow. It's visibility. Now, we're not going to, more than likely, at least around here, we're not going to have blizzard conditions, although that is a real concern. We start to see these purples up in north central and northeast Oklahoma, back near Tulsa. To become a blizzard, you've got to have snow blowing at 35 miles an hour. It looks like we're going to avoid that. That's got to be a sustained wind. These are maximum gusts. So this isn't a sustained wind, but this is occasional burst of wind upwards of 30 miles per hour. Well, as that snow's coming down, when these winds are happening, this is 8 o'clock tomorrow morning, and it really doesn't get much different throughout the course of the day. That's going to cause some visibility issues out there on the roadways. No question about it. So not only are you looking for slick spots out there, it's just going to be tough to see the car ahead of you. And meanwhile, these winds are going to keep things feeling quite cold. Let's talk about the temperatures. We're going to likely be below freezing after midnight tonight, and we're not going to be above freezing until Saturday across most of the area. And we're not talking by a little bit, we're talking degrees near zero, if not below zero. And we're talking actual air temperatures, not wind chills, without question. And you just talk to any plumber, and we're talking to them today, actually getting some tips for you folks that we can pass along at home. That's going to put a lot of pipes at a high risk of bursting. If you're just now tuning in, current time here at the station, 3:09. I'm going to back up to our new projected snowfall totals here in just a moment. Maybe you missed that at the beginning of the stream. We're going to circle back around. They have increased and they have changed. I'll brief you on that. First, let's continue along with these temperatures out there. We have a brand new extreme cold warning now in effect for most of the area. The only exception being Johnson, Logan, and Scott counties. This was an extreme cold watch earlier today, but in the last few hours, we've received new data, and that data has given the Weather Service out of Tulsa enough confidence to upgrade us to the warning category. Now, you might be thinking, I've never heard of an extreme cold warning. This must be really cold. And I've seen some Facebook posts out there that say, gosh, it's going to get so cold. We're under the extreme cold warning for the first time ever. Well, that's technically true, but here's the thing. This is a brand new product. This is the first winter that we've had extreme cold warnings. Used to, they were called wind chill advisories. You've probably heard of those, right? Well, this just replaced those. So what is now an extreme cold warning or an extreme cold advisory, formerly known as wind chill advisories, wind chill alerts, it's just titled something differently. So while yes, it technically is the first one, I wouldn't necessarily say that that's indicative of temperatures that we've never felt before. Certainly it's going to be some of the coldest we've felt in a really long time. But even back in 2021, when we had that big Arctic outbreak, this is going to feel very similar to that. One of the models shows this, Wednesday morning, 6 a.m. This isn't even the coldest part of this stretch, but it looks like we're going to feel like we're in the negative teens across northwest Arkansas, in single digits, if not down into some negatives across the river valley. By Thursday, though, without question, that's going to be the coldest day of this stretch. We very well could get down to almost negative 20 in terms of feels like temperatures. Now, feels like temperatures, that's when you factor in the temperatures and the wind. When that wind hits you in the face, it really starts to cool the body down, and it gives you this feels like temperature. Dangerously cold out there, as low as negative 10 across the river valley. If you have to be out and about, and I can't predict what schools are going to do, but I've been talking to a lot of school administrators today, and I'll tell you, these aren't temperatures that you want the kids out at the bus stop in. And if they are going to be at the bus stop, boy, they better bundle up. Friday's better. Negative 10, though, still northwest Arkansas, single digits in the river valley. I do think by the weekend we're trending a little bit better. Here's the latest 7-day forecast. 90% chance of snow, northwest Arkansas tomorrow. A few wraparound flurries by Wednesday. We'll maintain your weather impact alert all the way through Thursday, simply given the temperatures that we're expected to experience. The actual air temperature down to negative 2. That's going to burst some pipes. Friday, a little bit of sunshine. Trying to warm up. Maybe we'll see a little bit of melting there, refreezing going into Saturday. And for the first time in what will be several days, Saturday, a high temperature above freezing at 42 degrees. That warming trend, get this, believe it or not, I know this isn't going to surprise anybody that's used to weather around here. We're going to get close, if not into the 60s by the middle part of next week. Now, that's the northwest Arkansas forecast. Your river valley forecast shakes out like this. High tomorrow, probably right around the freezing mark. We'll experience that early in the day, so no question, things are going to start to stick. I'm going to upgrade you to a 90% chance of precip tomorrow. Just haven't done it yet. I need to do it before the 4 o'clock show. Down to 24 for a high Wednesday, 27 on Thursday. We will start to see a little bit of melting by Friday. Just keep in mind that high temperature is what we'll have late in the afternoon for an hour or two, and then the sun starts to set, and then we're down to 20 again. So refreezing likely going into Saturday. Does that mean all the roads are going to be bad? No, not necessarily. I trust those road crews. They know what they're doing, but Mother Nature is not going to make their job easy at all. There's no question about that. By Saturday, we're back up to about 42 degrees, and then by Monday of next week, can you believe it, we're back sitting right at 62 degrees. If you're just now joining us, let's get a check of the upgraded and the updated snowfall projections. I have seen enough model data this afternoon that has convinced me to go ahead and increase some of our amounts. Now, we're still looking at mostly snow north of the tunnel, right? So we're talking Benton, Washington, Madison, and Carroll counties. I think 8 to 10 is going to be likely in Benton and Carroll. Probably going to be a few spots out there that exceed 10 inches. It's all really going to come down to where a narrow snow band that's going to be heavier than most, wherever that sets up. Things have been trending south today. In fact, that's the result, or that's why I've upgraded and updated these numbers. Is there's been a southerly shift in almost all of the models this afternoon, and so that's given me some confidence that we're going to see 4 to 8 in Madison and Washington. Meanwhile, Sequoia, Crawford, Sebastian, Franklin, Johnson, and parts of Logan, probably 2 to 4 inches, but that's going to be a sleet-snow mixture. We're going to see more sleet, I think, than anything else, with that transition not occurring in the River Valley until probably the early part of the evening. And LaFleur, Scott, so I hear from some folks in Waldron want to know what's going on. Maybe Magazine, we're talking like southern Logan County there. A trace upwards of about 2 inches of a mostly sleet mixture, maybe a little bit of snow here and there, a light thin glaze of some freezing rain. That also can't be ruled out. So that's the latest. That's where we're at right now. I do anticipate additional changes. We're getting updated data literally every hour. We're pouring over it by the minute. And as those changes are going to be made, we'll be posting updates right here on 5 Plus on our free mobile app. as well as 5newsonline.com. And of course, we're about a little more than about 45 minutes away from the 5 News, first at 4, and we'll have some more information for you then as well. I anticipate another live update here on 5 Plus tonight. In fact, I'm answering all of your questions. If I've not answered them yet, I want to. I want to make sure you're adequately prepared and ready for this impactful winter storm. So if you got questions, Facebook me, text me, 479-785-5000. That's the number here at the station. I'm checking those on my cell phone. And tonight at 6:30, right here on 5 Plus, right after the 6 o'clock newscast, I'm going to be going over all of your questions. I'm going to try to answer as much as I can. And then, of course, the team will be here around the clock tonight into tomorrow. And given the duration of this event, well into Thursday and likely even Friday, expect some frequent updates right here on 5 Plus. That'll do it for now. We'll see you back here in about 45 minutes.